you might be sat there with your brain ticking over going, go, 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 go. Today, I'm going to walk you through how we can decode the fretboard on the guitar and make it easier for you to play and think about what's going on in your instrument. My name's Darryl Powis, and this is this week's fretboard lesson. Today we're going to talk about the guitar and try and decode this matrix computer or a Rubik's Cube that you have in front of you. Now, most people find the guitar a really tricky instrument to be able to work out how to play. There's lots of things that are very guitar specific that you need to know. And there's lots of music theory books and methods of learning which have been built over many years which have nothing to do with the guitar, and they tend to be slapped on to people thinking about how they should learn their fretboard. For instance, you get things that work great for piano, they don't always work for guitar. So let's talk about the challenges we have on the guitar. Well, challenge number one, the big one that's relatively unique for the guitar, or at least compared to most other instruments people play, is finding out where those notes are and knowing where they are. The guitar has so many different notes and different places that you could learn the notes on the instrument that it seems like the task of being told to go learn the notes is a huge deal. And in fact, I remember there's a Joe Satriani story about sending a teenage Steve Vai home. Great player, Satriani, teacher, his student Steve Vai home after his first lesson saying, learn all the notes on the guitar, come back next week. He came back next week and he'd learned all the notes on the guitar. That's the story. Legend has it, through rose-tinted glasses. I don't really know how that's possible unless he already kind of knew them, or I don't know, maybe there was a very low standard for checking that he knew them. Because actually the process of knowing your notes on the neck of the guitar is quite a long deal. What does it mean to know something? Well, it means to know, cold, in my opinion, the 9th fret on your E string is a C sharp. It means to know cold that the 15th fret of your A string is a C. And that process of knowing, I'm going to let you know now, will take you more than 1 week. Probably. I've never seen anyone take less than several months, I'm talking close to years, to get that level of comfortability where you just know what a note is and where it is on the guitar. So the whole he learned them in a week thing, I'm very skeptical of it, but also I didn't teach Steve Vai, so what do I know? So with where you're at with your guitar playing, what I would recommend is I'm going to give you an order of how you should start learning those notes on the fretboard so that you can begin to get them cold in your head. And I'm going to give you some good markers for how you should learn them. So the first thing I say is the order in which you learn them is pretty important. Knowing your notes is the thing that everyone says, yeah, learn your notes. And then very few people give you a method for it. I'm a big fan of a good method because I think it just gives you windows or something you can aim for and know that you're making progress. It doesn't mean that the same isn't true, that you should learn all the notes. Yes, but let's go with small wins. So the first small win that I would recommend is learning the notes on strings 6 and 5. And by notes, I mean the non-sharps or flats. So F, G, A, B, C, D, E. And then on the A string, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. I struggled with the alphabet there. That's what happened for real. I got to E and went, what's next in the alphabet? C. So I would learn those two first, and then I would jumble up those notes and play them. Or you can just take songs, go find a songbook and try and play bass lines looking at the chords. So you just literally, if the song says it goes C, G, A minor, F, you're just going to play the root notes, the bass notes. So C. So you get really comfortable with those notes. Now I would do that on strings 4 and 3. Do the same thing all over again. And in fact, I'd take it easy. You might find it takes a while for 6 and 5 to completely settle in, but you don't have to wait until you've completely mastered it to move on. What you do is you get it comfortable, you get it manageable. Think of it like a plate that needs spinning. You get the plate spinning and then you move on and you can start learning 2, 3, and 4. Now to learn 2, 3, and 4, I actually do a slightly different method. And on those, I encourage you to learn your triads or your chords. So learning how to play an A chord just on those 3 strings in different places. Learning how to play a G chord just on those 3 strings in different places, and build those chords using notes, because it gives you some use for them and it's going to help you to play on there. So a good example, if we're here, I should be able to play an A chord and know where my A root note is, which is here. And I could do the same here. I should know where my A chord is and I should know where my root is. So you get comfortable playing on those 3 strings as a separate matter to 6 and 5. When you're working on 6 and 5, it's bar chords and power chords. You play every song with bar chords and power chords, and that's how you're going to get to know the notes on those strings really, really well. When it comes to 4-3-2, you are going to use triads or some soloing ideas and just focus on trying to play your scales and your solos on those 3 strings, but knowing, like learning your scales and knowing what the actual note you're on is as you're playing it. So it's a little test you do for yourself and go, oh, what note's this? Oh, what note is that? But I see that guitar in 2 different windows. You have 5 and 6, and then 2, 3, 4. There is one string that we're omitting so far. Why haven't we talked about it? Well, that string is string number 1, which is exactly the same as our 6th string. You won't have to think about it slightly differently because obviously it's a higher note and you won't need to practice it. It's just that if you know your 6th string, it's not going to be a huge leap for you to make to be able to play the 1st string too. So I would just focus on 6 and 5 and then 4, 3, and 2 as a separate thing once you've got 6 and 5 kind of going, and you should find that your notes open up. Now, some people like to use kind of patterns, these kind of patterns. I don't like those. Tell you why is because what tends to happen is that people can only find their notes through a pattern. So if you're finding your C note through the fact that there's a C note here, that's not good, because that is like Zoolander. If you've ever seen the movie Zoolander with Ben Stiller, he's a catwalk model who is not a bright spark. Great catwalk model, not a bright spark. He can only turn left, which is very useful for the catwalk because you walk down to the end, you turn left, but completely useless when you're in real life and you want to turn right. So he does a 270-degree turn to go right every single time. And I kind of think when you have to go through a pattern to find a note, then that's a problem that needs solving and can be removed. So the best way for you to start working on this is to try and go and work on, so string by string would be a good idea for the moment, and work on it cold to go, okay, where am I on this string? That's a C note, so G, A, B, C, and you will begin finding the notes. Now this will take longer than if you have already installed shortcuts in your head. But what we're looking for, first of all, remove any crutches that I think of as like those shortcuts or what seem like a shortcut, but really we should just learn the right kind of notes or the right way to, Ben Stiller should learn to turn right, or Zoolander is his name. In this case, I think you should learn how to actually find the right notes. But also in the beginning, this kind of should be a little bit of a slow process, finding those notes. Like you might find that in some cases to find notes on strings, you might be sat there with your brain taking over going gig, 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 gig for 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes if you're feeling a bit frazzled. And that's okay. all you're looking for, the only goal is if it took you 2 minutes to find a certain note on a string, is to try and bring that down to 1 minute 50. And we're not timing it, but we're just looking for the process of your brain. And when you work in that way, it will come down. You'll bring it down to less than 10 seconds eventually, but just little bits at a time, less than 5 seconds, less than 3 seconds. And then what happens eventually is your brain just goes, oh, we're still doing this, huh? All right, I'll find it cold and I'll know where they are. And the fretboard does really start lighting up. It's like the end of the Matrix, where Neo can suddenly see the green lines coming down, but it takes practice to get there. Now, to actually do that, I would recommend doing notes on the neck, just trying to practice find those notes, a tiny portion of your day each day, and you don't have to do it even from the guitar. So it's a nice like bus stop quiz. You walk into the bus stop or you're at the bus stop and you quiz yourself on, oh, what's on this fret? I think that would help a lot. And the final thing is, I know there's lots of apps out there that you can use to try and help practice your notes on the neck. I've had a lot of students try them in the past, but I've never found someone who really, there's an app that suddenly turns them into an amazing player with notes on the neck. The best thing to do is either in your head, work out what notes are or where they are on the guitar, writing down on paper, or on the guitar, shouting the notes out at yourself or saying them at your fingers. You are playing this note right now is by far the best way to learn those notes in the neck and really decode that fretboard so that you can do all sorts of other amazing things. All right, have fun. I'll see you next week.